Hey, this is Wai. Welcome to the WAITT Show. So happy to be back. Woo! Thank all my waiters for watching so far. And we all know that WAITT stands for We're All in This Together. I am so blessed, as you all can see, that I have a special guest here with us. Many call her Minister Linda Brown. She calls herself Miss Linda Brown. I call her Auntie Linda Brown. Waiters, introducing to some, I would give you Miss Linda Brown. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. So
Wonderful.
What do you want the waiters to call you?
Whatever you want to call me, but you know, hey, I'm just a child of the Most High, so hey, whatever.
That's why I go with Wai. So stick with that. No titles needed.
No titles needed, none.
Hallelujah. No. But yes, it's so good to see you, and I cannot wait to get to interviewing you later on in the show. But as you waiters know, it is hot out there. Woo, it's hot. We had our guys back, and I'll always be nice to them and have them cold water. It's something nice to do for them, other than a beer, because beer will dehydrate you. You need water. Point blank. Period. You need water. That's right. We got our water here on the show. Also, the snack for today, is watermelon. How about that? If you can't, we had a show back that said, if you can't drink your water, eat your water, because there's certain fruits and every vegetables that have water in them. So if you eat it, it's like drinking it. So just make sure that you all stay hydrated out there. And you all know what time it is. Get comfortable, get your snacks, and let's settle on in. So have you really been anywhere, Linda?
I'm sorry?
Have you been anywhere other than just the store? Have you been
No, I have been pretty much I've been going to the church on Sundays, but I've carried my mask. We do social distancing despite having the mask. Yes. And I'm usually there on Sundays primarily because we've not opened up, but I'm in there to collect for those who want to bring their tithes and offering. Okay. So, though, because we still have people who don't understand Cash App or PayPal, so
right,
we're there.
Right. Well, that's good. I encourage everyone to stay home. Even though there's not like a lockdown order or a stay-at-home mandate, in some of these states or whatever, my recommendation is to stay home unless you really actually need to go out. I found this COVID-19 tracker, which is pretty cool. I think it's neat, to show you like the states, that are really infected with the coronavirus, and it gives you the number, in the states. And like right now in the Americas, like the total is 2,741,841. That's active cases. And if you move like to like Kentucky, to show you active cases in Kentucky, and that's 16,079. I mean, it just keeps going up. And then where you are in North Carolina, it shows the cases. You have way more than us, 70,241. So I don't know what's going on in the state of North Carolina.
South Carolina, but we're still high. South Carolina.
South Carolina. That's all right. I used to live in North Carolina. You're in South Carolina. I'm sorry. And I come to visit you. I'm ashamed of myself. But yeah, South Carolina, 41,532. And it's still high. 10 is too many. I mean, that's just the way that I look at it. 10 is too many. It just seems like it has gotten out of hand. And if anyone wants to go here, you can just put it into your web browser and you can take a look at your area, or even if you think about traveling, how, infected that state is, So, yeah, I suggest everyone to stay home. And to me, I think that this has not been handled properly at all, but that's why we got to vote. I feel like if you don't vote, you really don't have a right to complain. Voting is very, very, even though you see the stories that's going on with these voting polls and everything else, like people waiting in line, that's crazy. I mean, they shut the door on some of these Kentucky voters, shut the door on them. Like, that's crazy.
It is crazy, and there are a lot of people who say, well, my vote doesn't count. And I had a conversation a few weeks ago about my vote doesn't count. And I said, I vote not because I want to be counted, but I vote because of what our ancestors went through to get us the privilege to vote. And so whether or not they, mess around with it or whatever they do, I'm voting because of what my mother went through, what my grandmother went through, what they all went through to get us to this point. And, and I think if people look at it that way, they'll have a different perspective, and they'll get out and vote, not because, and yes, our vote does count, because we're voting because we have the right to do it.
Yeah.
And that's why we should do it, because you have the right to do it.
Right.
And again, you're absolutely right. If you don't vote, you shouldn't complain.
You can't say anything, So make sure you guys, waiters, please make sure you get out there and vote. If you know some elderly people who are not able to get out and vote, help them. Be a help, a helping voice, a helping hand, a helping ride, something. Just help, And also the census. Make sure that you get your census in. We already done ours, because that counts as well. You wonder why we don't have funding in our community, because we don't want to take time out to do our census, So everything right now is very important for our future. You may not see that it benefits you right now. Like a lot of people, it's not helping me now. Well, it's for our future. Let's look at tomorrow, not just focus on today, but let's look at tomorrow as well. And even with that, I know that, I think I heard that Colin Kaepernick got like an offer, or whatnot, and he was really getting it from everybody because of him kneeling. To me, it was kind of like a premonition. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was like he started it, but he didn't make much noise with it, But then when circumstances came with Mr. George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and others, then once it became very real, you know what I'm saying? I think that's when people started taking, him kneeling serious. And that brings me to the topic of why I have this up for our spiritual view, because I thought it was very interesting. I love CNN. I love Chris Como. I really like him. I just love the way he interviews. And in this video, some by Iraq War veteran Paul Rinkoff discusses the reports that the White House goes without warning, like just the political issues that are going on in the White House about this Russian bounties is pathetic. It's pathetic, because when I hear bounties, what's the first thing you think of, Arlinda, when you hear the word bounties?
I think of our ancestors and what they went through, lynchings. I think of just killing people without conscience, just doing what you want to do because you think you're big and bad enough to do it.
Right.
That's what I think of.
Right. And I think that's what happened at what's going on right now. I'm not talking about something that happened like some years ago. I'm talking about Trump in office right now. Right? This is what's going on right now. I'm going to see what he has to say.
Pulling out and abandoning the Kurds, or moving money from the Pentagon down to the wall over and over again. He continues to hurt our national security. And anybody who isn't trying to remove him from power, anyone who isn't trying to control him or block him or stop him from endangering our national security is at fault here. I mean, I'm tired of hearing the politicians talk about how they're outraged, how they're angry. They need to take action. What are they going to do to control the president that may have known that the Russians were paying to kill Americans and did nothing? There's no lower point in his presidency at this point, and it can get worse. Every day that he is out of control, more of our troops are in danger, more of our national security is at risk. And it's not just the American troops that are in danger here, Chris. It's every single American. Our people are sick, our economy is shattered, our military morale is down, and it's his fault. At what point is anyone going to hold him accountable?
What can the Democrats do that they have not done?
You know, drop more articles of impeachment. Try to get him out of office. Try to jam him up. I don't know, to be honest with you, Chris. I'm not an expert here, but they should do everything possible to ensure that no more American troops are killed because the Russians are putting bounties on them. Drag Donald Trump in whatever legal, peaceful way possible in front of the American people and make him answer to the.
He's basically saying make him answer to what he's doing, and which is Donald Trump answering to what he's doing, not only for in this situation, but period, to the American people. And my thing is anyone able to hold him accountable other than God? Because it seems like we didn't already, was he impeached? Like, and he's still there. It's like he has no regards for the law whatsoever. None.
Well, I think, that the way you get him out is by voting him out. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I think, we have to remember that back thousands of years ago, we had kings. And if you remember, we had good kings who came on and they worked with and for the people and did good things. Mm-hmm. Those kings were followed by kings who did anything they were big and bad enough to do. Uh-huh. And then so it was a cycle. And then those kings were replaced. And that's where we are now. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you think about, George Bush wasn't, he did some things good. He did some things not so good. Barack Obama came and did some things good, not so good. But right. Overall, people were, for the most part, content. Right. And now you have a president who is pretty much trying to dismantle everything. Mm-hmm. So what you have to look at what's happening now and look at what happened then. Yeah. No difference. And that's why when we say, there's nothing new under the sun, you got to really think about it. Yeah. And I believe that God allowed this man to be put in office for a purpose so that we could open our eyes and see exactly what's going on. I mean, right. This is just part of everything that's happening right now. Mm-hmm. It's predestined. Yeah. It's been written about in the Word. So now the Word is just coming off the pages, and we're just living it. Yeah. As sad as it is, we're living it. Yeah, I agree. And it just seems like everything peaceful that has been established, he's trying to erase all of that, and I'm just like, okay, Pharaoh, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Because when you think about, they call it, they talk about Obamacare. Well, it's really not Obamacare. It's the Affordable Cares Act. Right. And when you look at them trying to dismantle the Affordable Cares Act, which impacts 20 million people. In the midst of the crisis. 20 million people. And in the midst of the crisis. Yes. And so when you look at 20 million compared to 2.7 million who are impacted, that's 10 times the amount of people who've been impacted by this virus. Yeah. And we're talking deleting insurance for 20 million people. That's a lot of people. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of people. And you have, when you talked about impeachment, yes, he was impeached by the House, but at the same time, the Senate said, oh no, because the Senate is majority led by Republicans. And one of those is crazy from your state. I mean, this is crazy. And he's been caught in lies. Mitch, he's been caught in lies. And the sad thing is that people they're not looking at the individual and what they do for you or to you, but they're looking at parties. I'm going to vote for him because he's a Republican, or I'm going to vote for him because he's a Democrat. And we got to get past that and look at what are they doing for you. Yeah. And I'm telling you, girl, that senator that y'all have in Kentucky, that he's Anyway, let's move
else,
on.
isn't he? And that's the thing. That's the thing. Like people, they complain to me, and I hear people say, "Oh, I hate Mitch," or "I hate Trump," or "I hate," and I'm like, whoa, pump your brakes, because my thing is, they showed you who they were before they was even elected. Like they showed you. He was elected. He has people who believe the same thing that he believes, and so forth. So that's how it happened. Whatever the case may be. So it's not like I don't like what they're doing. I don't like their policies or whatever. But as far as them personally, I don't have anything against them because they showed you who they were. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, when people show you who they are, you're supposed to believe them. Mm-hmm. You're supposed to believe them. And nobody believed their vote counted when it came to Mitch McConnell. So he could have been out of there, but nobody believes that their vote could count. So I bet you now. Yeah. Bet you now, because now that he's cutting off the extra $600, yeah, that's Mitch.
Yeah. And people can really use the money. I mean, but
they can. They can. They need the money because some people's jobs are not coming back. So, and it's sad. I don't know what his thinking is, but Lord, please just bless Mitch McConnell. Just get him out of there. That's just the only thing.
Him. I usually say bless him the way you see fit. Okay, yes. Lord. I'm not doing no sick him, but just bless him the way you see fit. And
yeah. Yeah.
We just, and that's the best thing that we can do is to pray that minds are changed, and not just those who are elected, but those of us who do the electing, because those people are elected because people like us don't go out and exercise our right. And when I say people like us, that means people of color and women.
Yes.
And women. Because for Donald Trump to confess or admit to the way he treated women in the past, and he still got elected, that's absurd. I mean, that is truly absurd.
And it lets you kind of view how some people think. Like, I mean, so it's crazy. That's what I can say. It's crazy, and I don't think as crazy as like the kids, they got to move back home because of this pandemic.
Yes. We're seeing a lot of that.
Yes. I mean, and I had saw that, market, the young adults returning home is the market of Christianian. Millions of young adults moved back in with their parents in March and April as playoffs hit their incomes, and lockdowns made it hard for them to share their place of where, like, even urban, spaces. So it looks like they had to return back. I don't know how I would feel about, my child having to come home.
I have some thoughts on that one, and I'll wait for the video before I share my thoughts on that one.
My phone blew up. I had like 1,000 texts. My restaurant had shut down. New York City had shut down. My parents came and picked me up, and we came back.
And experts say the longer young people stay at home, the deeper the impact on real estate.
It is an incredible advantage to avoid rent, especially when rent is taking up a larger and larger share of income, and student loan debt is at record highs. Now, if they stay in their Gen X parents' homes, then that could have repercussions not just for the rental market, but for the for-sale market as well in the future.
Weeks have already turned to months for millions of Americans living in these new arrangements. The question now is whether months turn to years. Claire Sebastian, CNN, New York.
Wow. So will the months turn into years?
Yes. I think we have a lot more people who are moving home with their parents out of necessity because of job loss, and that in itself is saddening. at the same time, I have encouraged people over the years to move home with their parents in an effort to help them save money to purchase or buy homes. Because I believe that home ownership is the key to wealth building. And when you look at statistics, the greatest investment that we as people of color have is home ownership.
Yeah.
And so I have encouraged people to move home. Not many follow my advice, but when you look at what you're spending for an apartment, the rent, the utilities, it behooves you to move home so that you can save. And so right now we're looking at kids moving back home, and that's an indefinite, we don't know how long it's going to last. But when I, talk to my clients and advise them, I said, hey, look, it's short term. I had a young lady who is an attorney. She stayed at home 3 years with her parents.
Yeah.
And she saved money. And true, there are a lot of people who go home and they're not frugal, they're frivolous.
Yeah.
But you have to have that goal in mind. You got to keep your eyes on the prize.
Right.
And right now, what I have tried to do is I've tried to tell people, hey, if you don't have 3 months of reserve, don't look at buying a house because we don't know what's going to happen with this pandemic. Now, there are people that I would say, yes, go ahead. Like, for example, I have a young lady who is a veteran. She has her retirement check and she has her disability check. So we know that that's going to be coming. Right. So in her case, I said, sure, go ahead and do it. But in other cases, I've said, if you don't have money saved, don't do it. I have recommended, to move home. I had one young lady who told me, oh, I've been on my own so long that it would be hard for me to go with my parents. Well, guess what? So long means she had 4 years in college and 2 years after college. Really, kid? Really? Okay. So, it's really challenging. And what makes it even harder is that people don't protect their credit. And when you don't protect your credit, and when we're young, I tell people all the time, when I graduated from college, I had 10 credit cards. And I boasted I had 10. But at the same time, when I graduated from college, the minimum was nothing like it is today. I mean, I paid $5 and, that was my minimum payment.
Right.
Didn't know anything about income to debt ratios. But I knew I had good credit because I paid on time. But my ratios were probably out of whack. And so there are a lot of things that people don't think about, something, for example, something as simple as co-signing. The scripture tells us in Proverbs 6:1, do not co-sign. And if you have already done it, get out quickly. And I told a man that many years ago, and I think he thought I was giving him lip service. Until I actually showed it to him in scripture. And he was like, oh, really? Okay. But so, we don't pay, cable bills. We don't pay cable. We don't pay the cable bill. We don't pay the cell phone bills. We just, go from one. If you had an accident, I understand. But I don't want to pay it. And we have so many people that just don't pay these things. And like even right now in the midst of the pandemic, there are people they're saying, well, the banks will give you a forbearance. You don't have to pay, and you pay on the back end. But what people don't realize is that, yes, you can get the forbearance, but it's going to reflect negatively on your credit because they're going to still report that you didn't pay. And so we have to look at those things. So sometimes, we talk about we pay Peter, rob Peter to pay Paul. But as long as you're making the payments, call them and says, hey, I did it. I called, MUSC, one of our hospitals here, we're on a payment plan, and I said, hey, look, we're in the midst of pandemic. I know I pay you $97 a month, but let's cut this thing in half. And they did. They said, well, what do you want to pay? And I said, well, I was thinking 20, but the word 25 came out of my mouth.
Right.
And I did that. So those are the kinds of things that we can do. Credit card debt, consolidate them. People get these loans and they, and I understand if you're in a situation and you have to use the credit card as a way of survival. But if you're just using the credit cards just to say, oh, I got credit.
Right.
Bad move. Bad move. Because it's all calculated into your debt. And those credit cards, the interest rate on those credit cards are
ridiculous.
Oh my gosh, the double digits. They're over some cases 15, 20, 25%. Oh my God. And please don't get me started on those personal loans. Oh my God. Those personal loans are predatory lending. Predatory.
So Auntie Linda, you're able to give this advice because y'all, she didn't even let me make an introduction of what she does. You can just see what she does, you hear what she does, Google what she does, but what she does is in South Carolina. So like, what are you giving to the people now that are like looking to like even try to start to buy a home, but they are in the midst of this pandemic and their credit is not so good? What can they do now to help build their credit?
Well, right now, you got to look at, if you're having problems paying the bills, then call and say, hey, I can't pay what I have been, but I want to pay, something. So let's work
communication.
With you. Yes, and they will work with you, but don't pay a bill. Don't not pay a bill because I just don't want to do it. And this is a time that, interest rates for loans is extremely low, all-time low, very low. However, what's happening is that although the interest rates are extremely low, you have people who still cannot get a loan because what the banks are doing is they're putting what's called overlays. So for example, you only need a 600 credit score to get a VA loan.
Okay.
But if you go to a bank, they're going to tell you, we don't want you to have a 600, we want a 640 credit score.
Okay.
So even though the government requires you, like for example, with an FHA loan, and I don't advocate it, but you could literally get a loan with a 580 middle score with an FHA. But I usually try to tell my clients, let's get a 620. But even today, even though the federal government says you can buy a house with a 580, the bank's going to say to you, I want you to have a 640. And that's their way of weeding out those people who have not so good credit.
Right.
And what you can do now is pay down debt. When you have a credit card and it's maxed out, that has a negative impact on your credit score.
Right.
But if you take that credit card and you only use 10, 20, or 15 or 30% of the credit limit, the system says, oh, they're responsible. So then that has a positive impact.
Okay.
If you don't have, because there are a lot of people who do cash and carry, and that's a good thing. But if you're trying to buy a house, then you really need to have some kind of credit. So get a secure credit card. A secure credit card is like a prepaid cell phone. You basically give them $300, they give you a credit card. And the one thing that I try to tell people, and we get them all the time, if you think you want to buy a house, don't buy a car. Don't buy a car because that's going to knock you out of whack. I had a young lady who closed on a house in May. She had to refinance her car 3 times. We had to switch lenders because she was being financed in this COVID.
Yeah.
And the bank changed the rules.
Yeah.
In the middle of, they changed the rules. And sometimes when they change the rules, people who were qualified, when the rules change, they're no longer qualified.
Yeah.
And that was her situation. So we had to switch lenders. And in switching lenders, she was able to get the loan, but she had to refinance her car because she couldn't sell her car. Income to debt ratios.
Yeah.
So, and the other hindrance, you have credit cards, you have bad credit, but the other hindrance, it's student loans.
Yes.
Student loans have become.
I can say I hate them.
Oh my God. But
yeah.
2 things to do with the student loans. If you're if you're in college or you're getting ready to go to college, then it's important to apply for scholarships.
Right.
That's the best way to avoid as much as possible.
Yeah.
But if you have the student loans, and what they're not telling people is that if you have student loans, you can get into the income-based program.
Okay.
Which means your repayment of the student loan is based on your annual income.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And there are so many people who have no clue.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many people I mentioned this to, and they are clueless.
Yeah.
I had a man who's working on his PhD, and he had no clue.
Wow.
No clue.
Yeah.
But when you get in the difference in getting into an IBR program or an income-based repayment, it could mean the difference in your ability to buy and not buy.
Yeah.
Because if you are not in the income-based program and you're in deferment, which means, well, it's on hold, I don't have to pay. Well, the lender, if it's in deferment, that lender is going to calculate 1% of your balance.
Oh.
So if you have $75,000, 1% is actually $750.
Right.
So before anything's done, they're going to calculate that.
Yeah.
And if you're making $40,000 a year and you have a car payment on top of credit cards, guess what? You're not going to be able to buy a house.
Right.
Because right now, this is a seller's market.
Okay.
And the inventory is low. Because the inventory is low, that means supply is low, which means that the prices go up. Prices are about supply and demand. The demand is consistent, it's still steady, but the supply. Right now in our market, we had, when I checked today, we had 4,046 houses for sale. Sounds like a lot, but when you look at, we serve 4 counties. 4 counties, and those includes mobile homes, condos, townhouses, and single family houses. It's not a lot. In fact, I've been doing this 17 years and I can't remember our inventory ever being this low.
Yeah.
So yes, interest rates are extremely low at 3%, in some cases 2.8%, but the prices are so high.
Yeah.
And when you're making, I mean, I had to tell the lady last month, she had to stay with her mother. She could not buy a house because this woman in her 50s was making less than $18,000.
Wow.
And I couldn't imagine. I mean, I was living in Huntington, West Virginia, making more than that.
Right.
But, and so that's why, I tell people it's very important, to get an education, be it a trade, be it college, but you need a skill.
Yeah.
You need a skill. And, and I tell my clients all the time, I believe, what God has for you, it's for you.
Yes.
And I believe, I know that he did not give us the spirit of fear.
Yes.
But of power, love, and a sound mind.
That's
discipline.
Right. Yeah.
Discipline. And that's the key. It's discipline.
It is.
And I will tell you, I tell people, Donald Trump hasn't touched that income-based repayment.
Yeah.
Because it was George Bush who implemented that.
Yeah.
That's why he hadn't really tried to dismantle it.
Yeah. Okay. Anything Obama stamps, it's over with. He's trying to get rid of.
It's gone. It's gone out of here.
Yes.
But but it is a challenging time for young people. It truly is. But this is a time, if they're working,
yes,
they should stay at home, because it's the best way to save money.
Yes,
it's the best way. And and unfortunately, if they're not working, go home. Save money. It's so much easier to help pay the utilities at home than it is to try to do it all in an apartment.
Yes, and all by yourself.
And all by yourself.
Even if you got a roommate and your roommate's not working either, then that's a problem too. So yeah, exactly. It's best if you have a safe home environment, or grandmamas, aunties, uncles, whoever's house who's always like, you can come stay with me, do that. I think that it is best for our young people to be safe and to learn these tips now, from you, as far as how can now I build my credit for my future, because there's going to be a future. This is going to be over with, we already won, and the only thing is we just got to do our part, and I really appreciate you giving us these tips and everything like that. Now, if someone in your area wanted to contact you, how could they reach you?
Well, they can call me at 843-343-9147, or they can email me at Linda@trinityproperties1.com, and that's the word one, not the number one. I'm also on Facebook, so you can reach out to me via Facebook. Trinity Properties is, you can reach out there on Facebook as well. But just, reach out. And even if you don't think you're ready and you just want some tips on how to work on getting your credit, because that in itself is a job.
It is.
But, and I got to say this real quick. There are a lot of people out there who are advertising that they can repair your credit, but you can't repair your credit. You can work on your credit, and the things that you would pay somebody to do, you can literally do it yourself.
Yeah.
You can do it yourself at no cost. Yeah. And because I call it a scheme, but they've figured out how to play the game. And now the credit bureaus have figured out that these repair experts has figured it out. So now the the banks are now saying, hey, if your stuff is in dispute, then your credit score is null and void.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
So, and there are places that you can go to get your credit at no cost. Like you see advertised Credit Karma. It's good for the information, but our experience shows that the numbers are not the same because they use a different algorithm. So, but annualcreditreport.com, you can get your credit report from all three bureaus at no cost. That's annualcreditreport.com. You get the report at no cost, but if you want the score, then you're going to pay, I think, $5.95 or $7.95. I don't remember. But that's the first place to start, because you want to know what's on your credit. That's the first place, and it doesn't cost you anything.
Okay.
You don't have to pay some company, a monthly fee to do what you can do.
Yeah.
And if you don't know where to start, you're afraid, and that's the key thing. People are just afraid.
Yeah.
And so if you want somebody to talk to, use me as a resource. You don't even have to be in my area. You can be in Kentucky, and you just pick up the phone and say, hey, I heard you. What can I do?
Yeah.
And I'm here. Use me as a resource.
Yeah.
Again. Area code 843-343-9147. We're here, and that's my ministry. It's helping people, and believe me, the people who come to me, they listen. All of my people now who have houses, they have equity in their houses. So that means that if they sold their houses, they would make money.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the key thing. And you have a lot of people out there, they just want to get a salary.
Yeah.
So it's not about you, it's about them getting a paycheck.
Yeah.
And that's not what it's about. It really isn't.
Okay. Well, I'm so glad that you shared your information with us, and we know how to contact you. Waiters, hit her up. You know, if you have any questions, I promise you, she will answer your questions. Now, I will not say you will not get Jesus with your answer, but what I'm saying is you will get an answer from Linda. So definitely spirit-led woman. So I know everyone's trying to support Black businesses and everything like that. Hey, it's the sister that knows finances, that knows money. I mean, how much, you know, more do you need, you know? So I really appreciate all the information and tidbits, and we will be having you on the show again, definitely. And I would like to say that this show has really been enlightening for me, you know, because me and my husband, you know, been looking for a house and everything like that. And like you said, we have been working on our credit, but like it takes work. Anything, just like if you want that body that you want or whatever, it takes work. You know, nothing is quick as, you know, plastic surgery. Even if you want plastic surgery, that still takes work. You still gotta let your body, you know, still conform to the new, you know, ness or whatever the case may be. So anything that you really want actually takes work. So waiters, I know you can work for it. So because God has put it in you to work for it. So we come to a close. As usual, we like to leave a seed. So Aunt Linda, do you have a seed you'd like to leave for the waiters?
Well, I guess I already gave my seed because I was thinking about that scripture that God didn't give us the spirit of fear.
Yes.
But of power, love, and a sound mind.
Yes.
And and I have to tell myself that all the time.
Yes.
And that, you know, because in Revelation earlier this week was, you know, we talk about my back's against the wall, you know, my back's against the wall, but God is the wall.
Yeah.
You know, he holds us up. Think about it. Your back might be against the wall, but you're not falling.
Amen.
Why are you not falling?
Yeah.
Because God's got your back.
Yes. Hallelujah.
Oh, hallelujah. Don't get me started, girl.
I'm saying hallelujah. Yes. Yes.
Don't get me started. So just remember, no matter what we're going through, God's got your back.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Thank you, Lord. That's a wonderful seed to remember and to always keep, and to plant with someone else as well, to let somebody know, hey, God's got your back. You know, you got the whole armor of God in the back. God got that. He got your back. So, I like that. The seed I would like to leave to my waiters, whatever you do, you know, work a deed, do it all for the Lord. Everything that you do leads to Christ. I really believe that every word that you say, every time you help someone, every time you even hurt people, that hurts Christ, because those are his people. We're all his people, you know. So whatever you do, you know, try to do it as much as you can and the willingness of Christ. You know, maybe you don't even know that you're doing it for Jesus Christ. Do it out of love, you know, and God is love. Everybody knows that. So just do it out of love. Just whatever you do, just know that we are in this together, no matter race, creed, color, fat, skinny, tall, it don't matter. We just in this. So I thank you guys so much for watching our show. And remember that you can get in contact with The WAITT Show on Facebook, Twitter, where else we at? We on all the sites, Instagram, so everything. And don't forget to wear your mask. Wear your mask if you must go out. Put on a mask. Please stay covered. We know you covered with the blood of Jesus, but also be covered with a mask. In the name of Jesus.
Wisdom.
Yes, wisdom. So we love you guys, and thank you so much for joining us. Now, until we see you again, we thank you so much, and we love you. Bye, guys.